The Law of Karma, Dharma Practice, Volume 10, when I studied with Luang Poh Doem, late in 1948, reading from the calendar, Wat Ampawan. When I studied with Luang Poh Doem by พระราชสุทธิญาณมงคล จรัญทิตธรรมโม Law of Karma, Dhamma Practice, Volume 10. พระราชสุทธิญาณมงคล จรัญทิตธรรมโม told of the meditation practice, experience, and the study of the elephant science with Luang Poh Doem, Wat Nong Po, at the early days of his ordination. Late in 1948, after receiving the robe in the Katina ceremony, I planned to leave the monkhood and return to the secular life. So I meant to bid farewell to my preceptor and ask him to let me disrobe. I went to see Luang Poh Chaw and told him straightforwardly, Luang Poh, I am here to ask to leave the monkhood. He was in a hurry then and just asked, Are you sure, Prajaran? You won't change your mind? I said no. I left and came back to my lodging. Inside, I suddenly felt very sleepy, sort of half awake, half asleep, and was not quite myself. I just laid there. Then I heard a strange voice. It was like someone talking into my ears. Why are you leaving the monkhood? You have not attained Namo yet. If you have attained it and leave, it would be non-regrettable. I protested in my mind, Namo. I have been able to chant that very well since I was in school. I was thinking, but I could not really tell what Namo was. But I was not at ease anymore. What was that strange voice? Whose voice was it? Later on, it became known that it was the voice of Luang Poh Doem, who was Luang Poh พระราชสุทธิญาณมงคล's teacher in the forest. The strange voice continued, Well, it is very easy to leave the monkhood, but let me ask, have you been able to recollect or remember the virtues of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha? I remember being quite annoyed at that time. What crazy voice was this? Where was it? I have learned how to chant the recollection of the virtues of the Buddha. That starts with Itipiso. I remembered well. I learned the chant by heart. Perhaps I might not recite it with all my heart. But that strange voice reminded me of an old saying, which states that if you feel uneasy, do not disrobe, or you will become half good and half bad. You will not accomplish anything. Finally, you may even go crazy. So I decided to postpone that decision. I had planned to roam the forest for a while before coming back and leaving the monkhood. Once I packed, I went to Lopburi province, bought a ticket to Phitsanulok province. The train somehow broke down in Ban Mi. They kept on repairing the engine for a long time and still could not finish when I heard some passengers talking among themselves. What a pity! I meant to go pay respect to Luang Poh Doem. But with the train breaking down like this, what an obstacle! When I heard the name Luang Poh Doem, I was intrigued, having heard of him, but not knowing where he was, so I asked them. They said Luang Poh Doem was at Wat Nong Po, and that we had to get off the train at Nong Po station and walk to the temple. They also said that if I would like to go pay respect to Luang Poh Doem, I could join them. I agreed to, and miraculously, once I agreed, the train engine started, blowing its whistle, and continued its journey. In fact, I planned to see Luang Poh Doem so that I could ask him to perform the disrobing ceremony for me. I also planned to ask for some mantra that would make girls love me. What a plan! Throughout the journey, I kept thinking about disrobing. We finally reached the gate of Wat Nong Po. The lay people then asked me to go ahead to meet Luang Poh Doem. When I reached his lodging, what I saw was Luang Poh Doem at old age, sitting upright gracefully. He was tall and big like people in ancient times. He had a glowing fair complexion with wrinkles all over. His sparkling bright eyes were unlike other old people's eyes. He seemed powerful like a magnet. When our eyes met, I felt the deep respect for him. By the walls hung the swords and clubs which were used in training the temple boys. Later he told me that in the Ayutthaya period, those who would become soldiers needed to ordain and study in the temple just like going to college. In this way, they studied how to use arms, arts, Khmer and Pali languages. After that, they would disrobe and apply to become soldiers. There would be a competition to show their ability in using arms before the king. But now they just recruited anyone. The times are certainly different. I bent down before him to pay respect with high reverence. So, this is Luang Poh Doem of Wat Nong Po, who was highly respected. Even at that old age, he still could emit that sacred intense power in himself. Why was that? Was it because of his morality and the state of mental culture, as well as his perfections that were his powerful religious austerity? When I met him, he could no longer move around easily. He had to sit in a small cart, and people would pull it along. He was very old, but he would still accept invitations to see the lay people. Nobody could go against his will. He said he would help them until the end of his life. The first sentence he uttered to me in his clear, sonorous voice was, "Which temple did you come from?" "Wat Phromburi," I answered, and then told him of my wish to disrobe. He told me to stay on at Wat Nong Po and to discuss the matter later. During my stay, I had an opportunity to be close to him and take care of him, like giving a massage at night to alleviate fatigue. At that time, Luang Poh Doem would have only rice soup in the morning. He could not eat hard food. After breakfast, he would be taken out to meet lay people who came from all over to pay respect to him. He would blow on their head, each and every one of them. I was afraid he would faint from blowing, exhausting his energy, but he kept on with the blowing and blessed them with sacred words, blow good, or piang di, piang di. Some people would acquire sacred rings, sacred knives, pieces, or cast images as a token of Luang Poh Doem, or whatever pleased them. Then they would ask Luang Poh Doem to blow on those objects too. They would then bring the blessed items back home. Some would bring miniatures of the Lady of Luck or ivory charms believed to bring good business. It was quite a scene, but people would keep coming all day. Even though they were worried about his health, his people could do nothing. One night, when I gave him a massage, I could not stop myself from asking him, "Luang Poh, I wonder if your act of blowing on people's heads and saying, 'Blow good,' is really good?" He answered, "I cannot tell you how good it is now. You have got to stay further with me here, and you will know." Whenever I mentioned about disrobing, Luang Poh would clear his throat as if he was reproaching me. So I did not get to leave the monkhood and had to stay on. I noticed that outside Luang Po's lodging, There were Thai classical instruments and various kinds of swords and clubs for battle fighting and for apprentice to practice. I could not keep it to myself, so I asked him directly the following night, "What do you keep all these swords and clubs for? Can a monk use them?" Luang Poh laughed and said, hold on, you are very young. You have only been in the monkhood 1 year, and you are thinking of leaving. I will tell you something and just think along. In the old days, temples were sources for all kinds of knowledge. Those who entered the temples did not just come to make merit. They also came to study with the monks in the temples. I then asked, and what is the difference between being in a monkhood for 1 year and for many years? Again he laughed and explained it. 3 years, it is like getting your first degree. 7 is the master's degree, and 10 years is the PhD. 1 or 2 years only, you cannot be considered a wise man, or in short form, Tit, which comes from the Pali term Pandita, meaning intelligence. He pointed at the gown to be worn by the person prior to the ordination at Wat Luang Poh. It looked like a graduation gown. There was also a crowned hat which served as a decoration. He explained it further. A layman, young, immature, unripe person, prior to being ordained, he is clothed in attire that is meant for celestial beings. He is supposed to be a celestial being, not an ordinary person anymore, because he is about to be ordained, to become a wise man. In the assembly of monks sitting in front of the preceptor, when he is ordained, he becomes a happy and blameless divine being of Brahma world, a wise man, a monk. Now some people, as soon as they get ordained, they leave the monkhood. Instead of becoming a wise man, they suddenly become animals. I asked, how could that be? He replied, how could they not be? Leaving the monkhood in the morning, they start drinking and getting drunk in the evening. It is really a waste for them getting ordained. Worse, they become animals. This was his reasoning. He hated drinkers, those who get ordained, then leave and became bad people, drinkers. Those who love him would not drink and make him sad.